Hello, this is Sunil with njvarsity.rivals.com. I'm happy to welcome in today. Oh, I have to ask, yeah, Coach Gamble, the pronunciation of your first name. I forgot to ask him.
Mikal.
Mikal, yeah,
That
Mikal.
five letters. 5 letters is hard to pronounce. That's why
Mikal
being a
Gamble, Passaic High School, coaching the offensive and defensive lineman. Coach Gamble, thank you so much for the opportunity. Congrats. Here now the past 2 years now here at Passaic High School. Can you just talk about what it means, personally, to work under head coach William Widener and the state of the program and just what now looking forward to the ahead to the 2021 season.
Okay. Thanks for having me for the most
Problem.
part. It's been a blessing. I could really say that, I wouldn't want to change anything in the world. How everything's has happened since, my final season playing football. A week later, Coach Widener called me saying, I want to give you this position because he knew someone that's close and dear to me. Coach Jalil Taylor, he's assistant football coach at William Paterson, coaching D-line. He's also assistant basketball coach at NJCU for the women's basketball team. And, we hit it off. I could say by far, there was other schools that I was talking to that were like, since you're young, we want to put you a freshman. He was the only coach that was like, I want to give you a varsity position. And, being only 22 years old, that's a big, risk you're taking on a young guy because you don't know if he's responsible. You don't know what he's going to do. So he took a big risk with me. I could say from November 2018 till now, every day, teaching me new things about scheme, expanding my horizon about offense, Once he seen that I was a offensive line guy, he was like, I finally found the piece that I was missing. Because, it's hard to find coaches like that actually really care and zone in on the position. Every line coach is always gonna say, "Oh, I coach D line," or "I coach D line," and I'm the only one I could probably say that no, I coach offensive line and defensive line. Offensive line, I'll spend the whole 2 hours of practice if I could just on that alone. I could say what he has done within the program before me too has been remarkable, having one of the best records in a long time. And it's also the staff that he has built. You got Jamil Drummond, our defensive coordinator. You got Coach D. Coach D used to coach at Pazic. He's another offense-minded guy that, I'm just a sponge that I soak up. You got Coach Lightfoot. Coach Lightfoot, was a head coach in Brooklyn, and he brought a lot to the table. Coach Maravi, he's coaching softball right now, but my first year there, he was doing, and all the coaches that's been through the program, and even in the other programs, I could say, Passaic is family oriented. I never felt a day like, because of my age, I was getting treated unfairly. I could say even to this day, Coach Gamble, if this happens with this front based off this scheme, this is how you should break it down. And they even learn from me. Because, dealing with guys that's a little bit older than you, they don't really know how to use huddle. I remember our first summer camp together, I was putting notes on huddle and they were asking me, how do you do that? how you make the box come up right here and then you pause it? So I feel like, it's been the best thing ever. I wouldn't want to trade it in the world for nothing. I could say that, with them being in my life, I've learned a lot. I learned how to be more patient. I learned how to, there's different ways how to coach certain kids. There's different ways how, express how you may want to say things. And, it's different ways how to create bonds outside of football because it's not only, we don't coach 9th through 12th grade. We coach, from 6th to 12th grade. Because majority of all those kids may be related to kids that we see every day at practice that might play on the little league level. And, even working in Passaic as a sub, full-time sub, some of those kids be like, oh, that's Coach Gamble. He coaches my cousin. Or, oh, that's Coach Gamble. He coaches my brother. That's the same relationship they have with every coach, which is great. And I feel like, we're taking a turning point within the program for a better standard. Like you see kids actually being proud to say, I play football at Passaic High School. You don't have kids saying like, oh, I want to go to Garfield. Or you don't have kids saying, oh, I want to go to Clifton. Kids are actually saying, you know what, I want to go to play at Passaic because I see what those coaches do for my peers. I see what those coaches do, in the community. And it's a good thing. And it's also good that the parents also see it. Because I feel like if you're a parent and you're seeing, this coach makes sure my kids is on top of their grades, we always try to do something fun. Even though it's COVID, before we always try to do something fun. We make shirts for the kids, hoodies and all that other stuff, and they love it. And I feel like, it's turning in the right direction and going into this season, still being limited with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
We're building on for what we did last year, talking to our kids every other week during the weekends, going over film, scouting them out. And kids now even being triathletes. Like some of my offensive line guys, they just did wrestling. Some of them play basketball because everybody wants to be a basketball player. And now they're doing track and field. And I'm like, that's great. Do more things. I feel like before, kids really were just like, I don't want to do that. I want to stay home and play video games. Now it's like, oh, Coach Gamble, like, I'm throwing. I know how to throw the shot put. I know how to throw the jab. I know how to do this. And it's great because you see the enthusiasm that they have in playing all these other sports. Yeah. And they come in every day working hard. I could say that, this upcoming class and the classes below them, hard workers, extremely hard workers, competitors. Every time we're in the weight room, it's always like, oh, I one up you, or oh, I one up you. And it's great to see because you don't have to be that coach to be like, oh, you gotta compete, you gotta compete, you gotta compete. You could relax now and observe and see them, help each other go back and forth. And that's the greatest thing I could say. And, I can't give a full outlook of how the season's gonna go yet. I could say that we're gonna be fine, that we're gonna do good. We're not missing out on a lot. I mean, and Charles gone, but we have a backup, Jamil Chalmers, AJ Mazoon, it might be a freshman that may come up and play running back, but we have a core nucleus where it's strong. So, going into this season, we're still going to keep striving to get better, be one of those top teams in the league. And hopefully one of these days, maybe 2 years from now, 3 years from now, we talking about state champs. Yeah. But I could say that Passaic is moving in the right direction.
Yeah, it's really building that winning culture, Coach Gamble. And as you can see, especially with football, it's 24/7, 365. There are no days off in this game. I've talked to players and coaches. If you want to be the best, you want to, be at that top level, that championship level, you have to put in the time, said in the off season.
Yes, the off season is very crucial. I feel like a lot of people sometimes, when you have your superstars, you don't really think off season. You just, depend on them. I could say we take off season as if it's a whole nother season. Each week trying to go 1-0. I even get on myself sometimes, and my kids could tell you. And I think Jaden had told you when he had his interview with you. If I don't get an hour a week with them on Zoom and we're not going over film or something, I feel like I lost. Every week, and any of my position kids could tell you, every week I'm trying to go 1-0 against their offensive line coach. Yeah. It's not, oh, I want you guys to beat. No, I got to feel like I got to find the grand scheme of everything and try to be the best and put them in the best position. Yeah. So, I feel like the offseason is very crucial. And with COVID now, it's like you can't get full groups of weightlifting. Weight room is very crucial. You don't want kids being hurt. That's like a key component to football that I feel like a lot of people forgot, that the off season is important. There's no coaches clinics. So sometimes you got to clinic off yourself. You got to watch certain film, see what you did wrong, watch certain formations and get yourself better. So, that's the biggest thing.
I think, these athletes, especially they're utilizing social media so much these days, is that they're actually, creating their own highlight tapes, said there, with their workouts. And actually, it's a good tool, for down the line when, it said they're looking for colleges and everything, and they're trying to get recruited. It builds upon that with, using Huddle and some of these other highlight tapes as well, Coach Gamble.
Yeah, I could say that Twitter is a great recruiting tool. I could say I could say during this whole COVID season, there's been so many coaches that I've been talking to. Grayson High School in Georgia, I talked to their O-line coach, Mr. Jake. He's been giving me a lot of insight on what to do, and I could say he's been a big help to my game for this season with COVID. You know, I was able to get in the cool clinic. That's like a big time offensive line clinic. A few of the coaches reached out to me and was like, "Hey, we got a spot for you if you want to go." So I'm going next. Well, I'll be online next month watching offensive line clips. Learning more, expanding my horizon as a coach. And I could say majority of my kids use Twitter to promote themselves. Every day on Twitter, I'm either retweeting Frankie Gonzalez or Jamil Chalmers or Quamir Bell or Jaden or Isaac. Like those kids, know how to promote themselves and they know how to articulate themselves. When coaches, direct message them and ask them, "Oh, how you doing in school? How's your grades? What do you plan to do for the rest of your life? If you choose to come to this school, what is it that you look for and all that other stuff." And that goes back to coaching as well. But I could say that Twitter is, very useful when being a coach because you can also see how certain people run things based off formations. It's good to make connections and it helps out.
No, definitely. I wanted to ask you, just talking about the 2020 season. I mean, how that was for you guys. I mean, talking to other players and coaches. I mean, not knowing if you were going to play every week, and you know, as I said with teams getting shut down, and can you just talk about how challenging that was? For you. I mean, the coaching staff and the players.
I could say that nobody really was prepared,
Yeah.
but you know, during this time last year, I was having Zoom calls with my kids like 3 times a week. We'll watch film, break down film, watch film from the season before. So I felt like COVID was good for us because, not a lot of kids know the game of football. Not a lot of kids know what a reach block is, what a scoop block is, how to jump set somebody on one-on-one pass rush. So I took that time to really focus on fundamentals visually so they understand and know how to use certain moves. Even I could say the coaches even did the same thing with their position groups. So I felt like going in, we wasn't startled. We wasn't, worried about anything because we did all the basic stuff that we would have did if there was no COVID besides lifting. And even that, Coach Weiner had found someone that would do Zoom workouts with the kids, twice a week that will help them, stay in shape and stuff, which was good. Once we got towards the season, we had to have pods, be separate. I was glad to still, have my same group of kids and, have Coach Cassius, which is the D-line coach at Passiac, still help me out. We still work on with our kids. I feel like once we got towards the Nutley scrimmage, I don't really think it really phased us that COVID was still going on because we actually playing football now.
Yeah.
It's actually not like a guessing game on waiting. And, I could say the season didn't go as expected, but it went well to the fact that, the kids got to play football. At the end of the day, it's all about having fun. Yeah. I could say the seniors, they went out with a bang. They went their hardest. Unfortunately, we had to miss a game, our last game because of COVID. And, it sucks because we were at our turning point to, elevate and finish out the season strong on a high note. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, things happen. But you could see the characteristics in the team where they weren't, beat down or feel like, dag, like, I just wasted the whole season and I didn't do nothing. The seniors, said what they had to say, like, don't wait last minute to try to be great. listen to the coaches, do what they gotta do. And that takes a lot, especially kids nowadays to actually, say how they feel and be adults about it. And that, to me, that was like the greatest thing ever because, I've seen a lot of kids say like, oh, I missed out my season on COVID, but you had 4 years to play football. Yeah. Why did you wait till that final season? So that goes to test that, our kids are coachable. They're going to be great in society no matter what they do. And I feel like the biggest thing that we're all trying to build on based off that season is, don't wait till the last moment to give it your all. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's been our motto this whole off season. And that's why the kids been working so hard because they don't want to feel like, I don't want to use COVID as an excuse my senior year. Like these upcoming seniors, they don't want to use that excuse. It's, I didn't put the work in and I'm going to admit to it. And I could say this senior class that's coming up is the hardest working group. I could say from when I was hired and they were freshmen becoming sophomores. I've seen them grow up. And a lot of them, been situational players for us, rotational players for us, players that help us in special teams. And now to see them be fully grown and be in these starting positions where they could help us out, I know they're prepared. They're battle tested. They're not scared. And I'm glad that we have this senior group this year that, is strong and hard working to teach the classes after them. That's the model you got to live by. Don't sell yourself short.
You made an excellent point before, Coach Gamble, about kids starting out young, especially you're talking about Pee Wee or just, and then building up, moving their way up the ladder, by the time they reach, high school. I think that's so important. Can you just, talk about that, getting these kids and then, being able to have them fit into that, environment, as I said, at Passaic High School.
I could say that Cap does a marvelous job from, I want to say, was it February or March? March, they had a trainer. I really don't know the name for sure, but they had a trainer go to, I think it's school 5 or school 6. There's a big part that the trainers come outside, train the kids. They had, for their age group, and they had it for our age group. Okay. And the biggest thing with COVID is I could tell you all the Cap coaches that's the Little League coaches. Mm-hmm. They've been working with us, helping us, making sure that there's a bridge where, kids that play 8th grade transfer right in and go in 9th grade playing at Passaic. Calm, cool, they know the coaches. There's a great bond. There's no like, oh, go to this school, go to that school. They've all been, go to Passaic, do the best you can, make the city proud. And I could say that's the greatest thing ever because not a lot of Pop Warner programs, have good bonds with the high school. They push other kids to go to other schools and not stay home. But the Cap coaches, they've been helping us with, pushing even the older kids to be better. And the same amount of love they show us, we show them back. And I could say, they play a crucial role in everything we do at the high school level as well.
That's terrific. Can you just talk overall about Passaic High School? Because, it takes a community, it takes a village. I mean, you're talking about, teachers, said athletic director, administration, just what, is it is about Passaic High School that makes it so special?
Things about Passaic High School. Actually, today we have an award ceremony for all the kids that's in the neighborhood. I think it's called the Oculus program. I really don't want to bash it, but later on today, I'm giving another speech about one of our kids. And I could say last year when I actually went to the event my first time, it was in Paterson at like a hall. Yeah. And they were acknowledging everybody in the city and just not only faculty, it was like people that help out. And I was just so like surprised because if you're from New Jersey, because I live in Elizabeth, I'm from Elizabeth, you don't really hear about cities like Passaic that much. Yeah. So it's like great to see how like the city cares about each other so much. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't really know if you were passing it on McCarter because you wouldn't really pay attention. but it's so much love and care. It's like insane. And I've seen teachers, I've seen security guards, I even seen, the one lunch lady from one of the schools I was working at even get acknowledged. And it's great because, it's not a district where it's like, oh, we only care about high tier level people. They care about everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And, hopefully one day I could get an award because, I would be surprised if I even got an award because, they do, you'll be so surprised on, the littlest things. And there'll be people just like me to point out like several other people that might not even work in their school. They'll just be like, oh, I crossed paths with this person and I could say they're a good person and all that other stuff. And, the high school itself, teachers, I've seen teachers go above and beyond for their kids, like making sure that they're all right, throwing little Christmas parties, holidays parties, making sure that they have something special to look forward to. I could say even in the middle schools, kids never want to go home. Kids never want to go home. Kids love actually being in school in Passaic. I could say at school number one, they come in with excitement and joy. Even the kids that play sports always want to talk like about things going on, and it's great to see. And a lot of people don't get to see, small, big cities like that and how they're so close knit. And, it's a good family environment. And it's like, you want stuff like that to be around you because, it's building you up for the future.
It's true. Just have a couple more. Can't take you up for the time, Coach Gamble. I wanted to go back to your college playing days. I said, 1 year at Delaware Valley University before you transferred to William Paterson. I wanted to ask you, just as far as 1 year there at Delaware Valley, but then I said on to William Paterson, and just of course playing under head coaches Jerry Flora and also Dustin Johnson as well there at William Paterson, Coach Gamble.
It was, I could say, coming out of high school, big time school, one of the top schools in New Jersey, you really overlook schools that's close to home. And that's what I did. And it was a blessing in disguise that, I ended up at William Paterson after, everything that went on in the beginning of my collegiate career. And I could say everything about it, I don't regret football-wise, The records say what they say, but I built a bond with so many people. I built so many connections. Besides Jerry and besides Coach DJ, you have Coach Lasardi there. I talk to Coach Lasardi till this day. He's one of the greats. Coach Sean Williams, Coach Will. If anybody knows, I call him my uncle. Safety Pratt, that's my uncle. That's not your uncle. I'll call him like, Uncle Will, and he's like, yeah, what do you want?
Yeah.
I could say, he's been a bigger factor in my life for coaching. I say even the administration, the baseball coach, the soccer coach, the field hockey coach, the trainers there. I could say they built me up to the person that I am today, And when kids go, because I know this is going to be on Twitter, if you're a senior right now and you're wondering what school to pick for you, pick a school that's going to build you into being a better person. Pick a school that's going to put you in the right position to do what you want to do. Pick a school, that has a family atmosphere. Pick a school that you feel like, when I'm far from home, I have another family. I never have to feel like, I'm by myself, I'm alone, and I don't have nobody there for you. I could say those coaches been there for me from, when I had a grade 3 sprain my second year in my ankle and I was pushing to finish through the season. When my senior year came and I almost missed playing at WestCon because, financial aid, and magically, things got fixed out. And they never been negative. Coach Flora, to this day, he has his dream scouting thing going on. He's been helping out kids in the state, the tri-state actually. And I still keep in contact with him. We talk about football. Coach Johnson, great enthusiastic guy, funny guy, He turns up the tempo in practice. He makes sure, we're not going to have a dull practice. We're going to have fun today. Even though he coaches offense, he's a defensive guy. He's a defensive guy. He always makes it exciting. And, you know, I could say being coached under both of them, I learned a lot from them. And they also helped me with my coaching career. So I would say, you know, throw away the records, throw away what happened. You know, I'm glad that I went through that in my life because it taught me so much about life, how to go about life, and how to perceive life that, you know, I would never want to trade it for anything in the world.
How was that playing on the Division III level in the NJAC, New Jersey Athletic Conference? I mean, just the level of
The NJAC
yeah.
is, I could say, very, 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 very high level football.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand that, but you know, if you go see how some of these practices are being run, you'll be so surprised that it's Division III. Like between us, Montclair, Rowan, Keene, you know, Salisbury, Wesley, TCNJ, Southern Virginia, the 2 years we had Frostburg, those big time competitions. I think at least every year it's been, you know, somebody doing the NFL combine, someone doing the CFL combine. And those guys put the work in to get to that point. And it's, you know, it's not just one solid team. It's certain teams around the whole conference. Even Charles had, you know, CFL tryouts and stuff. So it's like a lot of people don't get to see the competition that goes on. You know, the rivalries are big time.
Yeah.
Montclair and I went to the game the other day, and even with COVID, it's still amplified and it's still going. So it's like, you know, it's good football. It's amazing football, and I wish it was televised more so people could see that. Even, you know, small town kids that might not have that D1, that D2, or that NAIA, just to see, like, you know, I'm playing at a higher standard of competitive football, regardless of the division that I might be at.
Yeah. You know, what was impressive is that on the offensive line, you played multiple positions. I'm sure that experience now, comes into play, especially at Passaic High School, Coach Gamble, where you're able to pass down, of course, your knowledge, to these kids today.
Yes, being in college, you know, I did have to play multiple positions. You know, I've always been, you know, learn on the fly and, you know, passing it down to my kids. You know, Jaden, I think, said it. Isaac, he ended up playing linebacker for us. He played guard. He played fullback for us this year. Will Carlock, another senior, playing all multiple positions all 3 years that he's been at Passaic. Frankie and Albert, they're going to be our seniors this year, playing multiple positions. You know, Dev, you know, he played center for us this year as a sophomore. He might be ended up playing a multiple position. And my kids will tell you, we're prepared for it. Yeah. They'll never be like, oh, I'm scared to play this position because I'm not ready. They already know. And when we go through practices, we do situational stuff to, if one person goes down, we got to shuffle the deck. Everybody knows where they got to go, depending on who goes down and what may happen. And I could say, you know, they're prepared for anything to where they, you know, you can't see it during the game like, oh, yeah, we could attack this kid because he's out of position. Coaches will probably be like, wow, like, this kid's still excelling in another position, which is good. And that's the biggest thing I could say our coaches, you know, be interchangeable. Because I know, you know, going to college, coaches want to see stuff like that. You just don't want to be one-dimensional and can only play one position. And then if a coach asks you to move for the betterment of yourself getting on the field, they're stuck saying, oh, I don't want to do it, or, oh, I'm not going to excel and have doubt. So I try to prepare my kids to be able to play multiple positions just so they could excel at the next level.
Another important, I think, topic is being a student athlete. And I wanted to ask you about that, especially, at William Paterson, you majored in marketing and, for these kids today, high school kids, being able to, it's not easy. It's, between, all the practices, watching film, and then, of course, hitting the books. I wanted to ask you just how, you were able to accomplish that at William Paterson, Coach Gamble.
I ended up finishing with a 3.1, Keiko's Business School. I actually enjoyed school at William Paterson. The teachers were very easy to work with. My advisor, Professor Newman, he was great all 3 years that I was there, helping me find internships, when we did the speed selling thing at our school, it's pretty big there. You know, I think I have an award for that for sales, the RPI sales program that we got. What else? The advisors, the the school at William Paterson, I could say everybody helps, no matter
Yeah.
what major you're in. And being so close to athletic training and sports medicine,
Yeah.
I could even say their program goes above and beyond and helps out, which is a great thing. I feel like school is challenging. If you have that mindset that is challenging, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Mhm.
Use the resources out of there. That's another big thing I would say for like seniors that's looking in to play football at the next level. Make sure school has resources for you to be successful. Just don't go to school and let's say you got to take anatomy your first semester and there's nobody there to tutor you. Uh, the school doesn't offer certain tutoring. Like I could say, William Patterson has 24-hour tutoring. Writing center is always there. I never felt like I didn't have any way not to get any help.
Mhm.
But I say like if you have the mindset that school's gonna be hard, you have the mindset that you don't like school, then you're gonna go with that idea like school's not for me. And I love school. I love school more in college than I did in high school.
uh, I didn't want to skip over, of course, Elizabeth High School. You were on that undefeated 2012 team, and I think lettered in track and field. I think a 3 year letter winner. Quite a few accolades there. Those were special times for you there at Elizabeth High School, Coach Gamble.
Yeah, those were the good old days. I feel like I'm old enough to say it now. Almost about to be 10 years in 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could say, being from Elizabeth, I'm not actually being from Elizabeth because I moved to Elizabeth when I was in fifth grade.
Mhm.
But the relationships, the bond, the sports atmosphere, I could say in any sport, competition is the biggest thing. Mr. Gonzalez, that was my vice principal. He's the head coach for the soccer team. Great dude. Every time I see him, he treats me like I'm his son. He's like happy to see me. He's glad that I'm coaching. He's glad that I'm making a change in kids' life. Coach Quinn, I'm still talking to him. He's the AD at Plainfield now. Great dude. Coach Holman, coach at Scotch Plains. One of my favorite coaches, besides Coach Movis and the rest of them. Coach D's coaching at I think St. Peter's in Jersey City. So I still talk to all my high school coaches, even Coach Medley, big time wrestling coach. I remember when I was in high school, he was an assistant and he was pushing me to do wrestling. And to see him go into this big time coaches, they just had a girl win states the other day. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I could always say I take from them is, being an influential coach and always striving for the best. Not even for myself, but for the kids that I'm coaching and the people that are around me and building a culture of success and, being great. And those are another group of people that I'll forever be thankful for and, will never have any resentment or anything because they did a lot for me when I was in my kids' shoes now. Made sure we went to camps, kept us in contact with coaches, did everything we can with study hall, making sure our grades were good. Whenever they could throw pizza parties for us, they really cared for us as if we were their own children. So now being a coach, I could see every time I see all my old high school coaches, they're like, it makes them feel good because it's like, I know he's going to be a good coach because I coached him.
The final two I have for you is, first, if you want to talk about your family, the support you've received from them, said, especially during high school and college, and now, of course, here, I said,
Yeah, my
coaching at Passaic High
family,
School.
my family, my friends. I mean, I already talked about all my family and friends.
Yeah.
Just, my William Patterson family, my Passaic family, my Elizabeth family. I could say everybody shows a lot of love, a lot of gratitude. I feel like that's what makes me who I am today, caring and loving, always putting the best foot forward for everybody else before myself. Yeah. Because, seeing people succeed based off you saying just as little as you could do it, or you're better than this, or, don't let the negative comments get to you for you not being successful. And you seeing the person think, you know what, I could do this, I could be great. And you see them do it, it's better than, you getting all the glory and gratification. Because at the end of the day, it's like, it is what it is. Seeing if I could influence 5 people and they go out to be multimillionaires or find a cure to, cancer, or, even be a coach and change another set of group of kids' life for the next generation. I know deep down I could be like, that little bit of mustard seed of faith that I had within them is spreading, and it's making, a better life for others.
Final question is that I know you're still, young in this game, coaching, but what your advice is, for, people who do want to get into this, because it said, you're seeing, it said younger coaches here, whether it's high school, college, and professional, but just, what your advice would be, to break into this, field here.
That's a good question. Oh, that's a good question. It's not like I was searching for a coach job. It's just like
because I see your background was in sales. I thought you would end up in sales, and here you ended up as offensive line coach at Passaic.
I would say as a young coach, work as if you're not being paid for your work. I feel like a lot of times, and I've seen it my first year of coaching, even last year, a lot of coaches in my age group work for as a coach to put pictures on social media to be like, oh yeah, I coach. Yeah. And they don't really coach the kids. Don't go in with that mind frame like you're just doing it for publicity stuff. Mm-hmm. If you love the game, you gotta treat this as if this is your life. There's gonna be certain days you're gonna have to sacrifice some sleep. It's gonna be certain days you're gonna have to sacrifice not going out with your friends. And it's hard, especially when you're young, because you wanna go out, you wanna do everything you wanna do. You're not gonna be a coach with 2 kids in the family, like everybody else on my staff. So it's you really have to put the work in. And I feel like that's the thing that separates me between a lot of coaches in my age group. And Coach Widener would say, all the coaches in the staff would say, I'm probably one of the most hardest working guys in my age group, probably in the state, because it's I always feel like if I'm not working hard enough to get my kids better, I'm not putting them in the right position to be successful once they leave Pacific High School as a football player. Yeah. Because I want to see my kids be able to start. I want to see my kids, be first team all conference wherever they go. I want my kids, go to college, make all academic in their conference, and make first team sports-wise. That's the goals I always have. And I tell my kids this all the time. It's not about the money. It's about you guys being successful and being better than me when you get to my age. So if you do want to be a coach, if you do want to work in sales, if you do want to, be a financial advisor, you could do that because I was there to push you. I was there, to be that person if you have any questions to ask, to work on. So I would say for any young coach, you got to make sacrifices to get where you want to be. So you can't, think all right, today it's Friday, especially in the summertime. It's Friday. I want to go to the beach. I'm going to call out and not put in the time with my kids. Because now when the season comes, and say if you're a wide receiver coach or a corners coach, you didn't teach your kid how to play press man coverage. You didn't teach your kid how to run a hitch. You didn't teach your kid how to run a bubble. You're giving them a disservice at the end of the day. Yeah. And now being a coach, you're not helping that kid progress to be great. And to me, that's there's no purpose for you to even be coaching. For all that, you could just be a fan. And I take coaching like it's my end all be all. I could say I ride and die for football. And wherever I may be at, I'm always gonna put the team first before myself.
That's what I was going to add. One of my questions was going to be what makes the game of football so special. I can see your passion, definitely is there. I mean, you played it for so long, and now being able to coach it, I think, again, is just so wonderful. Anything else, Coach? I hope I didn't, leave anything out. The floor is yours if you want to add anything.
No, you ask a lot of good questions. I would say, I always like watching the little videos and interviews you have with other coaches and players because you ask great questions. It's not boring. Certain guys that ask questions, it's like, oh, okay, you did this. Oh, that's nice. Like, how was this? And oh, you did that. Oh, that was nice. How you did that? Like, you flow good. So that's why I once you say let's do it, I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm down. But it's good seeing you do these little things because the paper is so expensive now. It's like $9 to read the paper online. It's like it's too much money. Yeah. But you asked all the questions that I felt like needed to be asked.
Can't thank you enough, Coach Gamble, for the opportunity. Congrats again on your success here at Passaic High School, and wishing you all the best, with the upcoming 2021 season.
All right. Thank you so much.